Hey everyone, it's Rihanna and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be discussing Tom Ford's Nocturnal Animals. This is a film I was highly anticipating just from its cast list and its director. I recently saw Tom Ford's first film, A Single Man, and loved it, and just from the concept, the plot and the cast list of Nocturnal Animals, I was so in love with it and I was highly anticipating this film. So does Tom Ford deliver? Let's talk about Nocturnal Animals. So Nocturnal Animals follows the story of Susan, who is played by Amy Adams in the film. She's living her idyllic, perfect life. She is an art gallery owner. She has a perfect second husband. Unfortunately, he travels all the time, but she's lost a lot of meaning in her life recently, even though she thinks she has everything. Suddenly, a manuscript for a novel her ex-husband has written called Nocturnal Animals that is dedicated to her ends up in her possession, and as she starts to read this novel, she interprets it as a threat and as a disturbing tale. Amy Adams plays the role of Susan, this woman who thinks she has everything, the perfect husband, the perfect job, but her life is really meaningless. It's really empty, and she's also very unhappy. And as she starts to read this story her ex-husband has written and dedicated to her, she starts to kind of bring a little bit more about herself into this story. Amy Adams plays the character of Susan as very kind of cold-hearted, very dry, and she just doesn't have much to her character. She doesn't really show any human emotion, and as the story unfolds, you see that this novel that she is reading is truly disturbing her, and she is scared, and she remembers things from the past with her ex-husband called Edward, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal in the film, and you see the transition she's made from when she was married to him to how she is now. Her character just goes through a whole stage of being entirely happy to just not being happy at all, and you definitely see that in the life she's living now, surrounded by all of this lavish stuff that Tom Ford loves to put on screen, but she doesn't really have any meaning to her life, and I think Amy Adams pulled that off very well. She pulls off Shit Scared very well. The novel that her ex-husband has written for her is about a father, his wife and their young daughter on a road trip, and on the road they are disturbed by a group of men who start bashing into their car, and they are just incredibly scared of what is going to happen next. This film gets very intense very quickly. As soon as you get into this tale of Nocturnal Animals, the novel that he's written, things just start to get very heavy, very gritty. It's hard to watch, it's intense to watch. Seeing the parallels between Amy Adams' past life and through the story of Nocturnal Animals is really interesting, and the way they use match cuts is really well done. Tom Ford does it so perfectly through the use of camera work, through the score, and I was just clutching my fists watching this film. There are some perfect moments of tension in Nocturnal Animals. Jake Gyllenhaal plays the character of Edward, who is the first husband of Amy Adams' character Susan, and he also plays the role of Tony, who is the father in this story of Nocturnal Animals. Jake Gyllenhaal, as always, gives a great performance, as does Michael Shannon, but I think the real show stealer in Nocturnal Animals is that of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who plays Ray Marcus, one of the men that starts disturbing him and his family on the high road. This is the best performance I've seen him in, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon and Aaron Taylor-Johnson really bring these characters off the pages of the novel of Nocturnal Animals. This tale is devastating and disturbing and just very subtle. It doesn't need a lot to make itself effective. That's what I really like about Tom Ford. He doesn't shove it in your face, but you have to work for it, you have to earn it. And if Nocturnal Animals is anything, it is a slow burn with so much great tension in it. To begin with, the film starts off quite slow, and as we go through past events and current events and back to the novel, the pacing starts to change throughout the film. It's very stop-starty, but the moments of tension are so worth it. Although I think the way that Tom Ford tells this story structure-wise, giving flashbacks from the past to current events to going back to the novel of Nocturnal Animals, is really effective, and how they match cut it and how they parallel is really clever. I think it's really cleverly done. I think the writing's cleverly done. I think it's shot beautifully. The music's great. I think Nocturnal Animals thinks it's deeper than it actually is. Nocturnal Animals is an ambiguous film, and I like ambiguous films. I like films that make me work for it, but it just maybe feels like it's deeper than it actually is. I think a lot of the imagery would come across as pretty pretentious. That being said, as I said, it is a subtle film. It is kind of a build-up to something you think is going to be a lot greater than it really is. The ending's very subtle, it's very satisfying to watch, but probably not the banger of an ending you're going to expect. The film has a lot of commentary on the American dream and what it's like to be married and how you should take care of things if you love them, and it's a revenge tale and it does it very, very cleverly. I like how Tom Ford shows this kind of descent into madness and chaos and just this incredibly devastating story. How this film unfolds is very, very effective, but as I said, it is a slow burn and the pacing throughout is very stop-starty. You might find yourself in the middle of this film getting a little bit bored, but there is still that intrigue until the very last shot of this film as to what it is that has gone on between Amy Adams' character Susan, her ex-husband Edward, and what is going on in the novel of Nocturnal Animals. I think this film is one where people are going to need a second watch, and as much as I appreciate this film, its writing, its dialogue, its acting, how it's shot, how the music plays out in this film, I appreciate it so much and I think it's so well done. Tom Ford has really outdone himself, and although I was expecting a different story with a little bit more tension and kind of thriller genre in this film, I was very satisfied with what I got in Nocturnal Animals. It has great moments of tension, it's beautifully made, the ending is satisfying when you get to it, you just need to work for this film. And I really like that about it. So I'm going to be giving Nocturnal Animals a very, very strong win. I feel like after multiple viewings, I will just fall deeply in love with this film. So if you guys have seen Nocturnal Animals, let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments, and what is your favourite film with a story within a story? If you like this review, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots more TV reviews and movie reviews for you guys very, very soon. As always, all my social media links, including my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Letterboxd, will be down below in the description. Come follow me, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you very soon. Bye!